he does not look like the cartoon version of Deputy Dog, which was a much heavier dog. Deputy Watchdog, maybe, but I don't recognize that. But I do kind of recognize the fake whiskers. But what I do recognize, Huckleberry Hound. It's my Huck. I think he's a bubble bath container.
Well, if you got a dollar, won't just lousy down. Know that I got rhythm that could suit your budget fine.
So once again, I am traveling and I am stopping along the way at, where am I? DuBois? Not sure who it's named after. He was French, DuBois, who knows? But I'm at Southside Pickers. Now, I don't know how big DuBois is. Maybe I'm on the south side of DuBois, maybe on the south side of the street. I'm not on the south side of the state. But who cares? We will see what they have in Southside Pickers. So this is a really encouraging start because I see Wades a lot. They're not particularly rare, but I rarely see them for $1. So there's a lot here. So I guess they got them in bulk so they could sell them at a really good price. They don't really sell for a lot of money, but there's definitely some in here that I've actually never seen before, and some I've only seen once. You know, looking kind of here at the center, like this is this parrot. I love the color for starters, but I don't think I've ever seen the parrot. This is, what is this? Sea lion? A manatee? I may have to look that one up. The parrot, maybe I've seen the parrot before. That color though is really cool. The clown, warning. We'll skip over the thimbles. Noah and his wife, you know, definitely a lot of animals. Those are traditions, some holiday themed ones. So again, it's not something I don't know if I've ever seen this many in one place. So it's worth recording, but I did actually pull some. This one, you know, which one of these? Not like the other, not a Wade, but it's still only $1. So I'm going to pick him up, and I'm just going to do the a little dog lot of 5, and you know, we'll see what I do with it when I go to sell it. So, as I said before, a lot of times I don't know what I'm going to record when I do these videos, but I've just decided to do a dog theme, and right next to the Wade Whimsies is this little box, metal, kind of a spelter. I guess it's I was going to say a Scotty. Not sure. And I'm also not sure what he's being attached to. The box itself is metal, but then there's like kind of a black mirrored metal piece, you know, that kind of wraps around it and that's riveted together. Just kind of a cool design. You know, some age to it. I'm not exactly sure how old it is, but it's cute. And I'm not picking it up because it's, you know, price-wise maybe a little bit more expensive for resale, but definitely an attractive dog piece. So this is all in the same area, right? When you first walk in, you can actually see the little Wade case there in the back corner. But this is the lot of jewelry, and of course, now that I knew I was going to do a dog video, I found dog jewelry. So, you know, you got the little emerald or the little green stone eyes. I would say 50s, 60s. Poodles were popular, poodle skirts, things like that. Traditional brooch. Do not see a signature or anything on this one, but it's got the riveted back, so again, reinforcing the age. This is one of those cases where the price is about what I would expect it to be. Not low enough to be able to buy it to make a lot of money for resale, and not necessarily original enough to draw people into my booth. So I'm going to leave this behind. So I've seen pull toys before, but never with, I don't remember seeing any with like the lithography like this with the, oh, well, I didn't do that. So we're just going to put that back on and hopefully it'll stay. But you can see it's got front and back. But what's neat about this one is, yes, it's a pull toy. I didn't undo the cord. But you can see the head is kind of like in a separate piece. It's no longer $1, let me tell you that. It's got the name of it in Buffalo, New York. The tail is a separate piece, so when you pull it, oh yeah, here's the price tag. What was this? $45. Not gonna say it's not worth that, just I'm not gonna pick it up for that. But if you watch it, look, the head and the tail go up and down as it turns, as it gets caught in the cord. Very cute, but staying behind. Can't go wrong with a good-sized Dalmatian, particularly when it's a functional bank. So, I guess he's ceramic. Got the stopper in him. Brins, Pittsburgh. I've actually seen that before. Brins. I'm trying to think why I've seen it. I think they're a store, but they would import stuff themselves, so made in Japan. Actually nice condition. $18 though, probably worth all of his money. Oh, he's got chipped ear. Too bad. Definitely, well, sorry. Definitely not worth $18 with that chipped ear, but he's still cute, but he will stay here. Okay, I had to Google this one. He kind of looks familiar, but I didn't know who he was, and I'm not sure anyone else does either. Consensus is Deputy Watchdog. Now, I recognize Deputy Dog, but when I looked him up, he does not look like the cartoon version of Deputy Dog, which was a much heavier dog. Deputy Watchdog, maybe, but I don't recognize that. But I do kind of recognize the fake whiskers. But what I do recognize, Huckleberry Hound. It's my Huck. I think he's a bubble bath container. And then background, I recognize him too. I don't think he's a cartoon character. He's just life in the 70s. Basset Hound Bank. Great collection of banks here. Okay, in this sea of blue and white porcelain are these little dogs. Too cute. Looks like a, what would he be? Airedale? Some sort of a terrier. He looks like he's the conductor. And then you've got all these little, I think they're schnauzers. Maybe. A schnauzer drum player. Bass player. Another bass player. Horn. Too cute. So a set of 5 for $8 is actually a pretty good price, but the market for decorative figurines is not particularly high. So I'm gonna leave them here, but that's really cute. I'm probably gonna regret it, but I'm still gonna leave them behind. I'm a little surprised. This is the first I've found Snoopy, most famous pup of all. So $22 each. Not gonna say they're not worth it, but damn. So it looks like milk glass, 1958. Fire King. So they're just 2 color. But admittedly, I've never seen these before. But there are 2 of them, so they're not that rare. And let's see. No, these I recognize. Civilization is overrated. So it'd be fishing. So these are McDonald's. These are $9. Still too rich for my blood, but definitely more along the lines of what they should be going for. Gotta love Snoopy. Fantastic collection of ashtrays, lighters, tobaccana, and of course, if you're gonna have man's best hobby, or at least once upon a time, of smoking, you got a man's best friend. So there's this, what is this, chalkware? Really nice, big size. Now, I'm not 100% sure he's an ashtray. There's no place to put the cigarette. So that could just be like a change dish or something like that, like a dresser or valet. No, he's cool regardless. That one, you can see there is the little indentation for the cigarette. So this little small individual ashtray. Looks like he's wearing a little hat. Cool. $12. Made in Japan. It's kind of an amorphous, maybe a Dalmatian because of the dots, but I like that one. Kind of stylized. $10. $50. I assume he's also made in Japan. Yeah. He's just kind of got a almost like a weird deco look. I kind of looking kind of modern, but probably in the 30s. So, none coming home with me, but a fun collection of puppy ashtrays. So this whole store seems to almost specialize in collections. I mean, this is just, look at all of these planters, and like every booth has just deep collection with boxes, camera equipment. But didn't take me long to find the dog planters. So we've got a little Scotty dog, a little side planter, a little bulldog. Now he was a name I didn't recognize. He was, what did he say? Morton Bulldog. Now Scotty, he was marked Germany. And then McCoy, I've seen him before, little spaniel. Saw one way in the back. Couldn't pull him out, he was too big. Lots to choose from. But, oh, there's another one. But they're staying here. And another booth with another collection. This time Shawnee. Look at all the Shawnee Pottery. And front and center, 2 sets of Shawnee dog salt and pepper shakers. And a great booth with tons of games. Dug through all the boxes, not sure what I was going to find. And who came to the rescue? Pluto. Walt Disney's inlaid puzzle. Actually a really nice, heavy one. $18, so staying here. But finally found something I could sell at the Unbreakable Sale with Scott. But I'm not buying it for 18 bucks. Sorry. And that was my video tour of Southside Pickers. The minute I left that location, I regretted one of my video choices. And it wasn't really a choice. It was just, I hadn't thought about it at the time. But I've thought about this, and if you're watching this alongside some of the other videos I've just recently dropped, you'll notice I'm in the exact same clothes in the exact same bunker location because I'm recording all the endings to the last 3 Shop With Me videos. I'm recording all 3 of them all at the same time. So that video was actually recorded at Southside Pickers several days ago. So I've had some time to think about it, and I really did think about this specifically even once I left. There was a short part during the video that I haven't re-looked at it, so I can't remember which part, but where I was showing the collection, and I mentioned that the whole place seemed to be focused on collections. I kind of scanned briefly to show kind of like down the aisle a little bit more to show some of the other collections. But this place was so collection focused. I want to find time to go back because it really did have some amazing depth to some of the collections. And again, some of the places where I videoed, like I've showed all of the ashtrays, I showed the Shawnee Pottery, but they had focuses on glass. They had focuses on all these different types of categories and things that it was really interesting. And I did mention this in the last video ending I just did that would have been for the Mommy Antique Mall video ending. I think about something that George, the Antique Nomad, has said. He said it really early on when I met him when I was first starting out. It's just he kind of says it on the side, but he's mentioned this before, and I always remember it. It's this idea that if you're looking, particularly if you're trying to find something for resale, you need to find something that's out of place. That's kind of what George talks about. So if you see, like, if that section I showed is relatively small, like the Shawnee, let's just say that little Shawnee, the 2 shelves of Shawnee Pottery, that was a relatively small collection. But let's just say that was an entire booth. If suddenly there was maybe a non-piece of Shawnee Pottery, or there was a piece of art glass, or there was a vintage toy or something else that they were also selling for whatever reason, they had it and they were selling it alongside, those are where you might get the opportunity of getting a better price. Now, I've seen it go the other way. I've also seen it where they just assume, oh, this looks old. I specialize in cameras. This is an old piece of pottery. It looks really old, so it's going to be $50. and it's like a $5 piece. So, it's not always a uniform thing, but it is also from a shopping experience. It is kind of fun to see, well, what is the odd man out? So one of the things that I did pick up, and I was kind of thinking of how to do the video. So the only thing that I bought at Southside Pickers, and I did specifically buy these for resale, it kind of doesn't, why did I just go through that whole story? Because it doesn't really fit the story, but it does fit this. So I ended up buying some of and I showed you what I was buying. I ended up buying 4 of the Wade Whimsies dogs. And I'm actually going to do a little bit of a mini deep dive for the dogs because I researched them and I'm fascinated by what I find. So I'm going to talk about that in a second. But I got him too. So if you remember when I did the video, it had these shelves and it was like any Wade Whimsy was $1. And there was shelves and shelves. And I think that, what else was that? Thimbles. So every thimble was $1, all the Wade Whimsies were $1. And they had that entire shelf that I showed as you went through it of all these Wade Whimsies. Well, then he was on there for $1 too. Now, I'm not saying that he's particularly more valuable. He's just a little made in Japan, piece. And he looks fine. Like if you're collecting miniatures or you're looking for something to go in those little printer box cases, he's a little bit bigger, but he would fit the need. But it's one of those cases that was not really the rule at Southside Pickers. Southside Pickers, a lot of what they had were, I don't know if they were specialists or they just have created this very interesting shopping experience. I really encourage you to go there. Even if I had more time, I would have turned it into like a researching thing, saying, okay, here are all these different examples. I don't know anything about Shawnee Pottery, figuring out like what were the age. So a lot of them had really detailed tags that said, this is what this is. You can learn a lot from places like that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with kind of the jumble approach and the jumble sale at a typical, at some antique shops, including my own booth. It's just a mix mash of a lot of different things to try and, make everybody happy. I've got something for everybody, but there's definitely a good thought process or one frame of thought to go deep into one thing. And it does make for a different type of shopping experience. And it's something I would maybe love to do someday. I just get nervous about going too deep into one thing. So to each their own, but that is not my point. My point is I am doing a wrap up video. I don't think that that video is going to be very long, but I already showed you the only thing that I bought. But what I did do, and I'm going to have to refer to my notes, but I'm going to be popping up screen images to back this up. Right off the bat, 100% going to admit, I did not know how old Wade Whimsies were. I would put it this way. I thought they were older than they actually are. So all of them came out in series. If you don't know about Wade Whimsies, they were put into rose tea. That process started, now of course I didn't write it down. I want to say it started in the 50s or the 60s. And they have been releasing them in series. So it's one of these ideas that now they would make thousands of them. So they weren't specifically limited edition, but it was one of those, they released a series over a period of many, many years, and then they would release a new series. So what I actually have are 4 individual pieces that came across from 3 different series. So quote unquote, the oldest one I have is the puppy. So he is the Wade Whimsy puppy, and that's what they called him. And so he came in series 2. Now, series 2 started in 1985 and ran until 1996. And I think, I didn't write it down. I think they did 10 or 15 animals in the first release of that series. And then in 1990, they released 5 more. And the puppy was in that second part. So it's still considered series 2, but it was kind of in the later. So he's from 1990 to 1996. I did not know they were still making Wade Whimsies in the 90s. So that was my first eye opener. Then you jump into the circus. So there's a little bit of an overlap. So the poodle comes from the circus. You can actually see this, and I've seen some of the other animals the same. Like he's like the poodle's on a guy wearing a little skirt. It's up on a little pedestal. The circus, the animals all in the circus, they have hats or different things. They're a very distinct look. That series came out from 1994 to 1999. So there was a little bit of overlap with series 2. So unless the information I found is incorrect, there was some overlap. Okay, but then I have 2 more. And those both came from a series called the Pet Shop Friends. Great, totally makes sense. One is the Labrador, and one is called, they weren't particularly original in their naming, Puppies. So you've got a pair of puppies, which is actually, I think they're spaniels. I think they're same type of dogs as like Mama Dog and the puppies. Okay, that's all fine. Pet Shop series, Pet Shop Friends. 2007. What? These things were being released during my daughter's lifetime? I didn't know that. And then they kept doing series. I think some of I'll pop it up if I can find it again. Because these are all I bought, but when I was researching, I was trying to figure out how they all came out. They did some World Monument ones. I want to think those came out in like the 2010s or like 2020. What? I had no idea. I did not realize. I really thought all of these were vintage. And anytime you saw Wade Whimsy, they're at least 30 or 40 years old. Okay, so education here. That's why I'm here. Maybe I'll turn them into a deep dive at some point. I have had dozens of them in the past, but I never found them particularly research worthy. But now, like knowing that they came out in different series, we'll see. But that's what I've got. So I only paid $1 each. So those 4 puppy ones end up being $4. The little Japan one, he'll probably just end up in my booth, but I might sell. I always want to do things to support Just One More Dachshund Rescue. I haven't done anything with them for a couple of years. I've got another project I'm trying to work with Beth from Carolina Princess Sweet Treats and Pretties to try and do something that'll kind of kickstart something with that. So I might just keep those 4 together and just sell them as a dog lot. And see if I can find somebody that just likes them, because they're not necessarily collecting. That's what I like about them. Not that they're necessarily collecting Wade Whimsies. They just like dogs, and so they just like dog things, and they're so cute. You can just put them in little vignettes or whatever. So that's the only thing I picked up there. Again, if I had more time, they didn't really have any collections that were kind of in what I like. If they had a collection of 1920s, 30s glass figural flower frogs, I could have broken the bank, but they didn't, so thankfully. But they did have some really cool stuff there, and I really did enjoy the visit. I wish I could have given them a little bit more attention in my videos. But if you have a chance to go to DuBois, and I never did research who the town is named after. It's DuBois or DuBois, Pennsylvania, kind of approaching western to central Pennsylvania. Definitely encourage you to make a visit to Southside Pickers. But for now, I just appreciate you watching the video. Thanks you for giving your time. Thanks you for putting your trust in Trusty Huckster. And this is the last one that you'll see me in this attire, in this location. But I am trying to revitalize my channel with some additional content beyond just a bunch of sales. So hopefully you're enjoying the shop along videos, and I encourage you, I welcome any comments, if anything else you'd like to see me do. And I will hopefully be reintroducing some vintage deep dives, maybe not about Wade Whimsies, but if you've got suggestions on that, I welcome those comments as well. So thanks so much, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.
Give me a good deal on something I can use. Make me an offer that I just can't refuse. When that sunrise in the morning and there's nothing there to do, will probably be the last time I see you. Woo-hoo! I hope